Welcome into New Orleans Saints now. I am Tom Downey here with a video of my suggested cut candidates, or at least plausible cut candidates for the Saints. Before we break down my list, we are a show for the people, so I want to hear what you guys have to say. Head down to the comment section and let me know a player who you want to cut this offseason. The New Orleans Saints enter a rather pivotal offseason this year as their head coach is gone, quarterback uncertainty, and, as they have for many years now, facing some cap issues, quote-unquote. No team like New Orleans has shown they know how to manipulate the cap. They are 75, roughly, over the cap right now, but they could save $100 million with various restructures just like that. Snap of the finger, if they had to. However, entering what could be a rebuilding time frame with a new head coach and maybe quarterback uncertainty, maybe you take some big cap hits and player personnel losses and rebuild and kind of reset that cap just a little bit and then get aggressive more again in the future. Now, there will be some restructures made by New Orleans. Marshon Lattimore's not going to carry a $27.45 million cap hit this year. He's got, I believe, a $15 million roster bonus. Make that fully guaranteed. Number drops way, way down. Ryan Ramczyk, Cam Jordan, Alvin Kamara, those guys are still, I believe, going to be key pieces for you into the future. Restructure those deals, bring the cap hit down. You save a ton of money doing just those four guys, and you are in much better shape. But I think some cuts will still be needed for New Orleans. So what is your concern level right now over the Saints salary cap? Scale it for me 1 to 10. 1 being the cap does not exist. We're gonna manipulate it. 10 being you're freaking out. The Saints have no money and they have to cut every single player. It's not a 10. It's not quite a 1, but I'm on the lower end. But I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. Maybe the top New Orleans Saints cut or trade, if we want to go that route in the future, candidate here is Michael Thomas, a $24.7 million cap hit in 2022. If I had sat you guys down 2 years ago and said, hey, the Saints might want to consider cutting Michael Thomas, you would have said, shut your dirty mouth, Tom. Now, not so much. The ankle injury for Michael Thomas is a real issue. It's cost him all of this past year and most of 2020, and there is money to be saved. Now, only $2 million if he's cut before June 1st. The before June 1st side, by the way, refers to how the money gets spread. If it's after June 1st, you can't use that cap space until then, but it does allow you to spread the money out over 2 years, so you save more. In the end, you could pay your draft class, for example, and then some with that money. So there is savings to be had here for Thomas, who has played 7 games the past 2 years, and in his 7 games, it's not even that good of production. Like, that's not Michael Thomas level production. The ankle, which allegedly he just didn't get the surgery on for whatever reason and was upset with the organization. It was all kinds of weird things. Now they're in a dangerous situation with Thomas. Because without him, this receiving room is Traquan Smith's a free agent. That leaves Marquez Callaway, Deontay Harris, now Hardy, by the way, will be back. But Lil Jordan Humphrey, Ty Montgomery, it's a very uninspiring unit at wide receiver. So what would you do then with Michael Thomas? Type T for you want to trade him, which I think could be possible. The money's an issue. Type K for you want to keep him and let him figure it out. Or type C for cut him. Head down to the comment section and let me know. Bradley Roby is a very easy cut for New Orleans. $10.17 million cap hit, and almost all of it could be saved if the Saints were to cut him. That's about as easy as it gets, guys. That $10 million, boom. That's a huge boost to your salary cap situation. And Roby was this year. Saints gave up a lot to get him, and then he didn't really beat out Paulson Adebo. And 70% completion rate, a bit high, 300 yards. He was a backup for this team. Marshon Lattimore, Adebo, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, my boy, Ken Crawley will all be back, and you probably draft somebody and get similar-ish play or sign somebody way, way cheaper than the $10 million cap hit for Bradley Roby. So Thanks for coming, Bradley, and goodbye. You don't need him anymore if you are New Orleans. Now, if you want to make some money betting on sports, do it with our sportsbook partner, BetUS. Head over to chatsports.com/bet. Use the promo code you guys see right there. It's chat125. 125% deposit bonus when you guys put down at least $100. You can bet who the Saints' next coach will be. I already bet on Dennis Allen, and I still feel good about that despite some other interviews coming through. Brian Flores, by the way, one of the more recent ones, at least requested interviews for the Saints. I think it's Dennis Allen. Whoever you think it is, go put some money where your mouth is. Chatsports.com/bet, promo code chat125. Let's talk Malcolm Jenkins, who I love. This is not an anti-Malcolm Jenkins part of the show, but we do have to have this conversation. $11.7 million cap hit is pretty high for an admittedly still very, 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 very good safety. You could save those $7.75 million by making him a post-June 1st cut. He's aging. Malcolm Jenkins is not going to be an elite safety, if he still is, for much longer. This is the type of player the Saints have to consider and go, okay, what are we going to do? Because if you're trying to win games next year, keep Malcolm Jenkins on your roster. He makes you better. If you're going to rebuild, reset a little bit, time to move on from him. And, maybe Chauncey Gardner-Johnson truly becomes the full-time Malcolm Jenkins replacement, and you add another corner to take over at nickel, or maybe P.J. Williams plays that well, or whatever you're going to do. You have to have, though, that conversation. Otherwise, it's simply not going to work out in the end. You have to figure out what you are going to be. So, for Jenkins, I love him, but I think you have to have the decision and the conversation process here about what's going to happen with Malcolm Jenkins in both the short term and long term. If he's going to be a piece for you, awesome. Keep him. But if you're going to rebuild, time to move on from him. So what do you want to do with Malcolm Jenkins? Type in R for restructure, bring that cap hit down, go try to win with whatever coaching QB you have, or type D for embrace a rebuild and dump him. Defensive tackle, David Onyemata next up here. And again, a very similar conversation. Big cap hit, right? $13.7 million. Not that much short-term savings. Decent amount of post-June 1st savings. It's a big cap hit, though, for, call him what he is, a non-elite defensive tackle. He missed time this year in part due to suspension, but 2 tackles for loss, 2 sacks. It's not great. So I think this is the type of guy they would consider finding a way to move on from if they were the Saints and just focused on saving the cap. But if you're trying to win, you'd probably keep him for at least another year. If you guys want more free Saints videos, hit that big red button and subscribe today. It's youtube.com/Saints Today. All the Saints coverage you could want all offseason long is right here for you guys. So join us for free throughout the offseason, the NFL draft, free agency, all of it, you name it. We got you guys covered right here. Tano Passanio next up here. A small cap hit, just 3.25, but you could save a good amount of money, $2.35 million, and he's, I think, replaceable-ish. The contract is indicative of a solid depth option, which is what Passanio is at this point in his career. He brings you depth. He's not someone you really, truly want starting games for you, but if he's your edge 4 or your edge 3, you're probably in good enough shape. But do you want to pay a premium for that when you've got young guys like Peyton Turner and Cam Jordan and Marcus Davenport? I'm not sure you do. Let's go to the kicker, Will Lutz, a big cap hit, $5.75 million, and it's tough for me to pay that, A, for any kicker not named Justin Tucker, but also one who was injured this year. The savings are not great. Maybe you try to work out a different contract with Lutz coming off the injury. It's a tricky situation. You would like it if you could save like $4 million by cutting Lutz, just straight up. It's not the case. Makes it a little bit trickier. Maybe the Saints bring him in for camp and then make a decision. That could be the best path, but that's a name to keep an eye out for. Now, I like our next name here, JT Gray, as a special teamer. But how much of a premium do I want to pay for an admittedly awesome special team guy? Is $2.6 million a little bit too high? I'd say probably a bit too high, but only it's a special teamer. He's good at his job. So again, this whole conversation comes down to, what are the Saints going to be? Are they going to try to be winners this upcoming year? If so, you're probably keeping guys like Gray and Jenkins and maybe even Passanio. If you're not, this is the type of guy you cut just to save some money and enter the rebuilding process. I think the same is true of Mark Ingram, who I know we all love. $2.3 million cap hit, you could save all of it by cutting Ingram. And if you really are trying to truly allow your books to be reset for a year, this is someone you cut. He's not that expensive. But we have to acknowledge that Mark Ingram is not the same guy he was back in his prime. His production for New Orleans was better, especially from an efficiency basis, but he wasn't that great either. So I like Ingram. He's a good football player. Of course, you guys know him so well from all the time he spent in New Orleans. At the same time, he's replaceable. So a lot of these guys are veterans who would help you win right now. But if you decide you're not trying to win right now, maybe, though, that's a good list of names to consider moving on from.